The first time the blue message appeared, I was staring at 3 bent playing cards and an empty lunch tray. Ryan had just taken the last $5 in my wallet. He called it the price of learning not to play against someone better than me, then swept the cards into his jacket as if the cafeteria table belonged to him. The 6 students around us laughed. Most of them did not know my name. I had spent nearly 4 years at the same school, becoming so easy to overlook that teachers sometimes marked me absent while I was sitting in front of them. Then a translucent rectangle opened above Ryan's shoulder. Defeat someone in a mutually accepted game, and the defeated player must complete one reasonable favor. Under that sentence, smaller words flashed once. Any game counts. I blinked. The rectangle stayed in place while Ryan turned away. It followed my focus without casting light on anyone else's face. I reached through it, and my fingers met empty air. Ryan stopped because I laughed. Something funny, Ethan? At least he remembered my name now. I slid my empty tray aside. Rock, paper, scissors. Best of 3. He looked at the students around him, waiting for another punchline. For what? If you win, I carry your bag for a week. If I win, I get one favor. The blue rectangle changed. A pale circle appeared beside the words mutually accepted, waiting. Ryan had already beaten me at cards. He had an audience. More importantly, he had the kind of confidence that needed to be fed every 30 seconds, or it started chewing on him from the inside. He dropped his bag beside my chair. Accepted. The pale circle turned bright blue. We raised our fists. Ryan threw rock. I threw paper. The laughter softened. On the second throw, he chose scissors. I chose rock. The moment my knuckles opened, the cafeteria vanished behind a sheet of blue light. Only I could see it. Victory confirmed. One reasonable favor available. Ryan stared at our hands. Again. The game was best of 3. His friends stopped smiling. The system did not make me stronger, whisper his choices, or move my hand. It had done nothing until I won. But something had changed in Ryan. The restless defiance in his face tightened into complete attention. He knew I was about to ask for something, and every part of him was waiting to hear it. I could have asked him to carry my bag. I could have taken back my $5. Instead, I pointed to the 3 students near him who had been quietly checking their empty pockets. Return every dollar you won at this table today. Ryan's mouth opened. No sound came out. Then he pulled a roll of bills from his jacket and began placing money in front of each student. He did not complain. He did not pretend he had forgotten an amount. When he finished, he set my $5 on top of my empty tray with both hands. The blue message faded. Nobody laughed. Across the cafeteria, a girl with straight black hair lowered her book. A silver triangular clip held one side of her hair above a dark green eye. Maya watched Ryan return the final bill, then looked directly at me. I had known her since middle school, which meant I knew 3 things. She finished every exam early. She never entered a competition unless somebody irritated her, and no one at school had ever seen her lose a game. Her attention should have worried me. Instead, it made the $5 on my tray feel like an opening bid. I needed to learn exactly what the rule meant before I aimed it at anyone important. That required willing opponents, visible games, and favors small enough that a mistake would not destroy my life. School had all 3. By the end of lunch, Ryan's loss had traveled faster than any rumor I had ever heard. In the hallway, a basketball player bounced a ball in front of my shoes and asked whether I planned to hypnotize the whole school. I told him hypnosis was too much work. His name was unimportant. His pride was not. 1 free throw each, I said. You choose the spot. If you win, I delete every video of the cafeteria game. If I win, 1 favor. Noah popped out of the crowd before the player answered. He had curly auburn hair, round glasses, and a blue hoodie with 3 camera batteries bulging from the pocket. Noah recorded school concerts, arguments, vending machine failures, and anything else that might gain 10 views online. There are already 9 copies, he whispered to me. Then I'll delete mine very sincerely. The player accepted. He chose the far corner of the gym, several feet behind the 3-point line. It was not technically a free throw anymore, but the rule only cared that we agreed. He bounced the ball twice and launched it with the smooth motion of someone who had taken that shot 1,000 times. And the ball dropped through the rim without touching metal. The crowd along the wall erupted. He spread his arms, already enjoying my collapse. I took the ball and felt its worn channels settle against my fingertips. I had never played on the school team. I had never practiced from that spot. But I had watched the angle of his wrist, the height of the arc, and the slow pull of the spinning ball. My mind did not turn it into numbers. It simply showed me where the shot belonged. I faced the basket, bent my knees and released. Then I turned around. Noah's mouth fell open. Behind me, the net snapped. The gym became so quiet that the ball sounded enormous when it hit the floor. Victory confirmed. I caught it on the first bounce without looking back and handed it to the player. My favor is simple. Tell everyone here whether I crossed the line. He stared at my shoes. His jaw worked once. You didn't. That was all. I had not asked for money or status. I had forced the best witness in the room to make the victory impossible to dismiss. Noah lowered his phone. You knew it was going in. The net seemed confident. He replayed the clip while we left the gym. My turn happened before the ball entered the frame. It looked rehearsed, which was much better than looking lucky. By the final bell, the video had more views than our school had students. My third test involved Grace, the teacher who ran the academic decathlon team. She had spent 2 years telling me I lacked initiative. I waited until her team gathered in the library, then walked to the front table and set down a trivia buzzer. 10 questions, I said. General knowledge. Grace folded her arms. You want to challenge a teacher during supervised study? If you win, I join the decathlon team and arrive at 6 every morning. Several students winced for me. And if you win, one favor. She glanced toward the doorway. Half the basketball team had followed me. Noah stood on a chair behind them, phone raised. Grace loved education, but she loved demonstrating how much education mattered even more. Accepted. The blue circle lit. Noah read questions from a practice deck. Grace took the first point on a question about a 19th century invention. I took the next 3. She tied the score on literature. I answered a geography question before Noah finished pronouncing the country. At 8-5, Grace stopped treating it like a lesson. She leaned over the buzzer, eyes narrow, each answer landing faster. The final question asked which chess piece could never move to a square of the opposite color from where it began. Grace hit the buzzer first. The bishop. Noah looked at me apologetically. The score was 9-8. She needed one more point. The next question was about the oldest continuously played board game. I hit the buzzer on the second word and answered. 9-9. Noah drew the last card. Improbability? What do you call an outcome that cannot occur? Grace's hand moved. Mine landed first. Impossible. The blue light spread over the library windows. Grace stepped back from the buzzer. Her students stared at the scoreboard as if it had insulted them. I could have asked for a better grade, but that would have been boring and probably unreasonable. I pointed toward the auditorium at the end of the hall. Tomorrow morning, let me use the school microphone for 60 seconds. Grace studied me. The system's pole settled behind her eyes, replacing resistance with decision. 7:55, she said, not a second longer. Maya stood between 2 bookcases behind the crowd. She had not reacted to any answer. When Grace agreed to my favor, Maya touched the silver clip in her hair. The motion lasted less than a second. The next morning, every classroom heard my voice. This Friday after school, I'll play anyone at any game they choose. Beat me, and I'll do one reasonable favor. Lose, and you owe me one. If you think yesterday was luck, bring a game with less luck. I stopped at 53 seconds and set down the microphone. Grace checked the clock. She looked almost disappointed that I had obeyed. At 3 o'clock on Friday, 47 students were waiting in the gym. They brought chessboards, cards, a handheld console, a cup stacking set, a dartboard with soft plastic tips, trivia decks, and a jar filled with coins. One student challenged me to identify songs from their first 2 seconds. Another demanded a typing race. Ryan returned with a deck of cards and a serious expression, but he did not challenge me. He stayed near the wall and told anyone who suggested cheating that I would not need it. I accepted 7 games. I won all 7. The favor stayed small. A student who beat everyone at speed puzzles had to admit over the microphone that I had finished while he was still searching for an edge piece. The best rhythm game player in school had to post the score without cropping my name. A girl who identified 6 songs in a row had to use her music club account to announce the next challenge. Each favor widened the circle. Noah moved through the crowd like a one-person broadcast crew. He taped a spare phone above the chessboard, balanced another against a water bottle near the console, and shouted viewer counts whenever the number doubled. By the final match, more people watched online than stood in the gym. Maya waited until everyone else had finished. She stepped to the center table and placed a coin between us. "You said any game." Her voice was quiet, but the room lowered itself around it. "Any mutually accepted game," I said. She held the coin on the back of her thumb. "Call it in the air." I looked at the silver triangle in her hair. She had watched every favor, every pause, every change in the loser's expression. "What does the winner get?" "One favor." The blue circle appeared. "Accepted." Maya flicked the coin. It spun under the gym lights, bright and dark, bright and dark. Heads. It landed on the back of her hand. She covered it, then revealed tails. No system message appeared. I had lost. The crowd made the confused sound people make when a train stops between stations. Maya leaned closer. "My favor is another game." The blue rule did not activate for her. She could ask, but she could not compel me. I accepted anyway. She chose even or odd. We each hid a few plastic tokens in one hand and revealed them together. She called odd. The total was 7. For the third game, she selected a 3x3 memory grid. Noah placed 9 cards face down, including one marked with a star. We each watched him shuffle. Maya found the star on her first turn. 3 games, 3 losses. No one spoke. The story they had come to see was supposed to end with another person staring at me in disbelief. Instead, Maya gathered the cards into a neat stack and pushed them toward Noah. "You win when the other person thinks about beating you," she said. "You lose when they think about the game." I rested one hand on the table. "Is that your explanation?" "No, it's advice." She touched her silver clip, then looked past me toward Noah's largest phone. The viewer count had continued climbing through every loss. "Also, your favors leave fingerprints." She walked out of the gym. Noah approached as if he were inspecting a dangerous animal. "Are you okay?" "I just lost 3 games. In public. I noticed the phones." The spectators waited for embarrassment, an excuse, anything ordinary. I picked up the coin Maya had left behind and balanced it on my thumb. "Next Friday," I said, loud enough for every microphone. "Bring better games." The crowd broke into noise. My losses traveled farther than my victories. People slowed the coin toss frame by frame and argued about air currents. They mapped Maya's shuffle, accused Noah of switching cards, then accused me of losing on purpose. Clips of my 7 wins appeared beside clips of her 3. And for the first time, strangers were asking 2 questions at once. Could anyone beat Ethan? Who was the girl who already had? 3 days later, Logan answered the first question for 6 million followers. He was the most famous competitive gamer in the country, famous enough that people watched him eat breakfast beside a glowing computer. During a live stream, someone sent him my free throw clip. He replayed the moment I turned away, laughed, and called me the favor kid. "He's good at editing," Logan said. "Put him in a real game and I'd beat him with one hand." Noah sprinted into the cafeteria with the clip already open. He nearly slid across the floor in his excitement. "You have to answer." I finished opening a carton of milk. "He has 6 million followers." "Exactly. His oldest championship game was Neon Dominion." Noah stared. "Nobody plays that anymore." Logan did. Before the sponsors, the custom studio, and the championships, he had become known for clearing Neon Dominion's hardest survival map without losing a life. His fans still treated the record like a sacred object. I placed my phone against the milk carton. Noah framed the shot. I kept the cafeteria noise behind me and spoke for 11 seconds. "Logan, one hand is generous. I'll meet you in your studio, on your oldest game, using an ordinary controller. If I lose, I'll pin your victory to every account I own. If you lose, you owe me one reasonable favor." I looked into the camera. "Unless the real challenge is getting you to accept." Noah posted it. Logan ignored the clip for 14 hours. During those 14 hours, his followers did not. They filled his chat with blue hand symbols, old screenshots of Neon Dominion, and clips of Maya beating me. A rival streamer asked whether one hand had become too expensive. By sunset, Logan's own sponsors were posting polls about the match. He accepted live. The blue circle appeared in front of my bedroom wall from hundreds of miles away. Distance did not matter. Pride did. Logan scheduled the match for Saturday night. His studio sent travel details, legal releases, and a list of controllers I could choose from. I selected the cheapest model. Noah read that decision 3 times, then hugged the printed email against his chest. Maya found me outside school the next morning. Rain tapped against the black umbrella over her shoulder. You engineered the acceptance. His viewers did most of the work. And if you lose? I watched students move around us, pretending not to listen. Then 6 million people will know I lost. That doesn't bother you? It happened in front of 47 people last week. I survived. Her green eyes did not change, but her fingers touched the silver clip again. Logan's opening route is different on broadcast, she said. He gives viewers a close first round, then crushes the second. You studied him. I study games. Come watch. I already planned to. She walked into the rain before I could ask whether that meant from home or from inside the studio. Saturday night, I learned the answer. Logan's studio occupied the top floor of a converted warehouse. Blue light ran along the walls. Screen showed his logo, my school clips, and a live chat moving too fast to read. Logan waited behind a curved desk in a silver jacket, one hand resting on a custom controller worth more than my laptop. Noah stopped just inside the door. For once, he forgot to record. Maya sat in the front row beside the production team. Logan noticed me looking at her. Your coach? The only person here who has beaten me. The chat accelerated. Logan's smile became more careful. He gestured to the plane controller waiting at my station. Ready to make that list longer? I sat down, rolled the cable once around my hand, and looked at the enormous match screen. You already accepted. Above Logan's shoulder, the pale blue circle burned steadily. Logan's producer counted down from 5. Neon Dominion filled the screens with a city of black towers, electric roads, and bright machines racing between them. The survival map was simple to explain. We each controlled one runner. Every gate increased speed. Miss a gate, hit a wall, or fall behind the closing storm, and the run ended. The last runner moving won. Logan rolled his shoulders while the viewer count climbed past 2 million. Still want the ordinary controller? He asked. I pressed each button once. It has all the important parts. The start tone sounded. Logan launched perfectly. His silver runner cut through the first gate, brushed a rail, and used the contact to swing around a corner without losing speed. My black runner cleared the same corner half a second later. In most games, half a second was nothing. On this map, it was a door closing. The distance grew. The chat became a wall of laughing symbols. Logan cleared a jump backward so his runner landed facing the next gate. I hit the platform normally and lost another second. He glanced at me instead of the screen. I can switch to one hand whenever you're ready. Wait until the hard part. He laughed because we were already in it. The storm swallowed the road behind us. Neon signs broke away from buildings and crashed across the course. Logan knew which gaps opened first. He slipped through them before the animations finished. I reached the same section with no safe path left and drove straight up a fallen sign. My runner launched above the blocked street. For 1 second the camera showed nothing but open air and the storm beneath me. Noah grabbed both sides of his glasses. The production crew leaned toward their monitors. I landed on the next road. Logan was still ahead. Maya watched my hands. Everyone else watched the distance meter. It showed Logan leading by 11 seconds, then 10, then 8. Neon Dominion rewarded perfect movement by filling a charge bar. Most players spent the charge in short bursts. Logan used his whenever the next gate came into view. I had not touched mine. Saving it for the next match? He asked. I drove through a tunnel as the storm sealed the entrance behind me. My charge bar reached its limit. The runner began to glow blue. Saving it for the audience. The course entered the vertical district. Roads climbed the sides of towers, crossed upside down, then dropped through glass tunnels. I released the entire charge at once. My runner became a black streak inside a blue flare. One tower passed, then another. The distance meter fell from 8 seconds to 5. Logan stopped looking at me. He leaned over his controller and began using the routes that had made him famous. He cut through a service lane barely wider than his runner. I followed without touching either wall. 3 seconds. He skipped a gate by bouncing across 2 moving drones. I drove beneath them, hit the gate he missed, and gained more charge. 1 second. The final district opened ahead of us. It was the part of the map shown in every old Logan highlight: 6 collapsing bridges, 1 safe route, and a finished platform that only appeared after the first runner committed. Logan's silver machine reached the bridges first. He chose the center. I chose the far left. The center bridge began to rise. The left bridge began to fall. The chat declared the match finished. Logan's fans knew the pattern. The center path lifted directly to the platform. The left path dropped into the storm. I held the accelerator. The falling bridge became a ramp. My runner shot beneath Logan's rising road, struck the support beam, and spun upward. For 3 silent seconds, the game camera followed a route that was not supposed to exist. My runner landed on the finished platform facing backward. Logan was still crossing the center bridge. I used the charge from the mist gate. The black machine raced toward him, passed beneath his screen, and crossed the finish line. Victory confirmed. The match did not end immediately. Neon Dominion replayed the final movement in slow motion, showing the black runner under the bridge, the blue flare, and Logan's machine arriving 1 second too late. I set the controller on the desk before the replay reached the platform. The viewer count passed 6 million. Logan looked at the controller, then the screen, then me. His custom jacket reflected the victory animation in strips of blue and gold. Behind him, the chat slowed for the first time all night because millions of people were typing the same question. How? Maya did not ask. She sat with one finger against her silver clip and the smallest curve at the corner of her mouth. Logan's producer pointed frantically at the camera. Logan remembered he was live. That route isn't in the records? It is now. He exhaled through his nose. The system waited between us. Fine. What's the favor? I had 6 million people, 1 defeated celebrity, and a blue confirmation hovering above the most valuable desk I had ever touched. Asking Logan to praise me would be small. Asking for money would make everyone assume money was the point. Host an open broadcast called Beat Ethan, I said. Invite champions from any field. Games, sports, cards, trivia, anything they're willing to play. Give them your stage and give me the chair. Logan's producer stopped moving. The favor settled. Logan turned toward the main camera. His expression changed from disbelief to the look that had sold millions of tickets and subscriptions. Next month, he said, any champion who thinks the favor kid is a fraud gets a chance to prove it here. The chat exploded. By morning, the match replay had been viewed more times than Logan's original championship run. My school placed a photograph of me beside the front office. It was the worst frame from the entire broadcast. My eyes were half closed. Logan's logo appeared to grow out of my shoulder, and somebody had printed the caption "Local student defeats internet." Noah took 12 photographs of the photograph. Logan kept his favor with professional enthusiasm. The Beat Ethan page appeared within 2 days. A retired basketball shooter applied. So did a memory champion, 3 poker players, a speed reader, a famous chef who wanted to identify spices blindfolded, and a mayor who offered a coin toss during a charity event. The list kept growing because every new challenger imagined being the person who ended me. Maya appeared in Logan's studio again before any of them. He invited us to record a promotional clip. On a glass table, his crew arranged a mechanical puzzle made of 12 rotating rings. Logan had practiced for a week. He solved it in 41 seconds and looked toward me. Maya stepped between us. 30 seconds, she said. Logan recognized her from our school clips. You're the coin girl. That is a terrible name. Beat 41 and I'll use yours. The blue circle did not appear for me because I was not part of their game. Maya accepted anyway. Logan reset the rings and scrambled them in front of the cameras. Maya placed both hands behind her back until the timer began. Then she touched the puzzle once, turned the outer ring, rotated 3 inner bands in a single smooth movement, and set it down. The timer showed 17 seconds. Logan stared at the completed pattern. Maya. Better? I placed the Neon Dominion controller on the table. My turn. She looked at it, then at the cameras. No. You came to a studio built for games. I came to see whether your stage was larger than your school gym. And it is larger. She walked past me. At the door, she paused beneath Logan's glowing logo. Not large enough. The promotional clip made both of us more famous. People did not know whether Maya was my enemy, my coach, or the final player I was avoiding. She refused interviews, opened no public accounts, and beat anyone who tried to challenge her at school. I continued receiving invitations from people who had discovered that losing to me could be profitable if enough cameras watched. Most were easy to ignore. Claire's invitation arrived inside an ivory box. She was 18, the only child of a family that owned hotels, media companies, and half the buildings around the downtown plaza. Her photograph appeared beside charity announcements and fashion campaigns. In every picture, her platinum blonde hair fell perfectly over an ivory suit, and her blue eyes looked mildly disappointed by the world. Her video message began with clips of my victories. "Ethan is talented," she said from a white room overlooking the city. "But talent looks miraculous when every game is rehearsed, so I'm offering him the one contest no one can prepare for. Rock, paper, scissors. Best of 5. Live at my family's charity gala." She raised one hand. "I have played 10,000 rounds and never lost a set." Noah watched the invitation beside me in the school library. "People keep saying never around you. It saves time." Claire's message continued. If I won, she would grant one reasonable favor. If I lost, I would appear in a promotional video saying her analysis had exposed me. The acceptance circle waited at the bottom of her face. I looked across the library. Maya sat beneath a window reading a book about card probabilities. She did not glance up. "Accepted," I said. The circle lit. Claire's gala occupied the ballroom of a hotel with more windows than my entire school. Crystal lights hung above white tables. A digital board displayed the amount raised for children's recreation centers, and every guest wore clothing that seemed designed to make sitting down expensive. I arrived in my black jacket, white t-shirt, dark jeans, and clean sneakers. Noah had borrowed a blazer but kept the blue hoodie underneath it. He turned in a slow circle near the entrance, recording ceiling lights, dessert towers, and people he recognized from business magazines. "We're standing in more money than our school district," he whispered. "Try not to spill anything on it." Claire made us wait. She stood on a raised platform surrounded by 10 volunteers. Her long blonde hair caught the white lights, and small gold earrings flashed when she turned. A host explained that she would predict each volunteer's rock, paper, scissors choice. She called the first throw correctly, then the second, then all 10. The ballroom applauded. Claire did not. She stepped down from the platform and met me at the center table. "Still accepted?" Were those 10 supposed to make me forget? Her eyes sharpened. "Forget what?" "That you accepted first." The guests around us laughed softly. Claire disliked that more than an insult. She gestured for the host to begin. "We agreed on best of 5. 3 wins would decide it. No draws counted. On the first throw, I chose rock. Claire chose paper. 1-0. She watched my shoulders while the host reset us. On the second throw, I chose scissors. She chose rock. 2-0. Applause rolled through the ballroom. Cameras moved closer. Claire's confidence did not look noisy like Ryan's or polished like Logan's. It looked precise. She saw the small tensions that came before a choice. The breath held before rock, the loosened fingers before paper, the slight lift of the elbow before scissors. "You came all this way to lose the game that started your little career," she said. "I came for the third throw." The host counted. I stopped choosing early. Until that moment, my body had known the next hand before the count ended. Claire read that decision through everything around it. So I let the count reach its final beat with my hand empty of intention. Then I moved. Paper. Claire threw rock. 2-1. Her smile faded. On the fourth throw, she changed her method. Instead of reading me, she created a rhythm, moving her fist slightly faster on the second count. It was an invitation for my body to match her. I did not. Rock beat scissors. 2-2. The ballroom became still. Claire had won 10 demonstrations and the first 2 throws. Now the simplest possible game had become the only thing anyone wanted to see. She stepped closer. Nobody wins 3 straight against me. I kept my eyes on hers. The host counted. Claire's hand opened into paper. Mine became scissors. I did not look down. The silence lasted until the blue victory panel spread between us. Claire lowered her hand slowly. The host had to check the replay before announcing what everyone had already seen. I had answered her 3 wins with paper, rock, and scissors in order. Noah stood beside the stage with both hands over his mouth. Behind him, Maya watched from the edge of the ballroom in a minimalist black dress. I had not invited her. Claire probably had. When our eyes met, Maya touched the silver clip above her temple. Claire stared at my final hand. You changed your tells. I stopped having them before I moved. That is not possible. It only had to be possible 3 times. The system waited for my favor. Claire's family knew entertainers, executives, athletes, and elected officials. One name stood above all of them. Victor. He had built his first software company before Claire and I were born. He had become a billionaire, bought and sold companies across 3 continents, and still made time to humiliate grandmasters and charity exhibitions. Long before his money made him famous, chess had. Once each year, he gathered champions, founders, performers, and some of the richest people alive at a private event called the Summit of Winners. No public tickets existed, no application existed. Victor chose the room. I held Claire's gaze. Introduce me to Victor, personally, and deliver my public challenge to a chess match. The ballroom reacted more loudly than it had to the game. Claire's mouth curved, not with defeat but with sudden interest. The favor had caught her completely. She turned to the nearest camera. Victor, she said, Ethan has challenged you to chess. I will make the introduction myself. Then she looked back at me. You might be the most expensive bad decision I've ever made. I wore clean shoes. That makes it worse. Claire kept the favor before the gala ended. A giant screen behind the stage displayed a live call. Victor appeared in a dark office with a city glowing below him. He had silver hair, a navy suit, and the patient expression of someone accustomed to deciding how long other people spoke. Claire introduced me without mentioning the first 2 throws she had won. Victor listened to the challenge. You are the student who defeated Logan. And Claire. Claire folded her arms beside me. Victor almost smiled. You have collected attention. Attention is not a chess rating. Then your rating should protect you. Guests turned toward the screen. Phones rose around us. Victor could have ended the call. Instead, he leaned back. Earn an invitation to my summit without using Claire's favor to carry you through the door. Reach my table and I will accept. The blue circle did not appear. This was a promise, not a game. Choose the path, I said. Victor's gaze shifted toward someone beyond his camera. A second window opened on the ballroom screen. Nolan appeared at a green poker table. He was a professional gambler known for turning televised card games into personal interrogations. He had won enough prize money to buy the hotel ballroom and lose it again without changing expression. His black vest was perfectly straight, and a stack of red chips moved between his fingers. Nolan is playing tomorrow night, Victor said. Defeat him in a game he accepts. After that, defeat one executive from my preliminary list at a game they choose. Do both, and you may enter the public qualifier for 1 summit invitation. 1 invitation. Claire looked toward Maya. Maya was already watching me. Nolan rolled a chip across his knuckles. The teenager needs me to accept first. I stepped closer to the ballroom screen. 1 hand of poker. You choose the variant and deal. If you win, I'll play every qualifier wearing a shirt with your face on it. The ballroom burst into laughter. Nolan's chip stopped between 2 fingers. And if you win, 1 reasonable favor. He glanced toward Victor's window. Refusing would mean admitting a single hand against a high school student carried too much risk. Accepted. The blue circle appeared over his green table. Claire lifted 1 eyebrow. Do you even own a suit? No. Then my assistance begins with preventing a visual disaster. I thought your favor was finished. This part is for me. Maya approached as the call ended. She looked at Claire's ivory suit, then my black jacket. Keep the jacket, she said. Claire looked offended. He is playing a famous gambler on television. That's why. The 2 girls studied each other across the center of the ballroom. Noah moved between them with his phone raised, delighted by a new kind of competition. I left them arguing over my sleeves and looked at the replay screen. It showed my final scissors still extended while Claire's paper hung below it. Tomorrow, Nolan would deal the cards. After him, an executive would choose the game. Beyond them waited the qualifier, the summit, and Victor's chessboard. For the first time, the richest table in the country had opened a path. It was narrow enough to make the entrance worth watching. Claire brought 3 suits to Nolan's studio. Maya brought my black jacket. The argument lasted until Noah suggested an online poll. Claire immediately ended it and told me to wear whatever I wanted. I wore the jacket. Nolan's poker room had no cheering audience. 12 cameras circled 1 green table. A dealer sat between us, though Nolan had been allowed to choose the game and inspect the deck. Victor watched through a private screen. Claire and Maya stood on opposite sides of the production area, each pretending the other had no influence on anything. Nolan selected a single hand of No Limit Hold'em. We each began with the same stack. If one of us folded, that player lost. If neither folded, the better cards at the end won. Simple enough for millions of casual viewers to understand. Dangerous enough for Nolan to make a career from the space between those rules. The dealer gave us 2 cards each. Mine were a 7 and a 2 of different suits, the hand poker players used when they wanted an example of something terrible. Nolan looked at his cards and raised immediately. I called. The first 3 community cards appeared. A 2, a king, and a 9. I had a pair of 2s. Nolan pushed half his remaining chips forward. He did not speak. That was his method. He let the silence become heavy, then watched what people did to escape it. Some touched their chips, some stared too hard at their cards, some began explaining themselves to no one. I looked at the red stack in front of him. Is this where I'm supposed to become nervous? You brought the school jacket, he said. I assumed you already were. I called. The 4th community card was a queen. Nolan moved all his chips forward. The studio seemed to contract around the table. I had 1 small pair. Any king, queen, 9, or larger pair could beat me. Nolan's face revealed nothing, but the hand was never about hidden cards. He had chosen 1 round because he believed my victories needed time. He had watched me study Logan's route, remove Claire's tells, and improve through repeated games. 1 hand denied me all of that. Nolan had built the contest around the belief that I would fear losing everything on 1 decision. That belief was visible. His stack stopped exactly on the white line. All in, he said. I slid my chips forward before the camera finished turning toward me. Noah made a strangled sound behind the glass. The dealer revealed the final card. Another 7. My 2 pairs sat face up on the table. Nolan turned over an ace and a jack. He had nothing but the highest single card. He had spent the entire hand representing strength because he thought my need to reach Victor would make me protect the path instead of walking it. Victory confirmed. Nolan stared at my cards. You called before the river. You went all in before it. For the first time that evening, his chips stopped moving between his fingers. The system waited. Tell Victor and everyone watching whether I hesitated. Nolan looked toward the main camera. The favor locked behind his calm expression. Ethan did not hesitate once, he said. I gave him the worst starting hand at the table and the largest reason to fold. He called me anyway. That endorsement traveled through business channels, sports channels, and every account covering the summit path. It mattered because Nolan did not praise opponents. He analyzed them, defeated them, and forgot them. Before I left, he stopped me beside the studio door. Was it the chips? No. My breathing? No. Then what? I zipped my jacket. You chose 1 hand because you were afraid I would improve during the second. Nolan looked more offended by that answer than by losing. The executive from Victor's list chose trivia. She ran one of the largest retail companies in the country and had built its anniversary campaign around company history. Her challenge arrived from the glass lobby of her headquarters. 1 question, she said. The history of American business. Closest complete answer wins. Her confidence came from a different place than Nolan's. She had spent 30 years inside boardrooms. I was still asking permission to leave class for a camera interview. I accepted. The next afternoon, we stood on opposite sides of a brass buzzer. Victor appeared on a wall screen. Logan streamed the event. Claire occupied a front row chair as if the building belonged to her family, and Maya stood behind her, reading the plaques on the wall. The host opened a sealed envelope. Which product was the first to have its barcode scanned at a retail checkout in the United States, and in what decade did that scan occur? The executive hit her buzzer. A pack of chewing gum in the 1970s. Applause began among her employees. I pressed mine. A 10-pack of fruit-flavored chewing gum in 1974. The host checked the answer card. The applause ended in pieces. Victor's image remained still above us. Then he gave 1 short nod. Victory confirmed. I used the favor to ask the executive to announce me as an official qualifier on her company's public screens for 24 hours. By evening, my face appeared above checkout counters in thousands of stores. Noah visited 6 locations just to film himself standing beneath them. Logan's Beat Ethan broadcast became Victor's public summit qualifier. The original studio could not hold the applications, the production equipment, or the people who wanted to watch. A city mayor who had volunteered for a charity coin toss offered the downtown arena for the preliminary rounds if the event raised money for youth recreation. The agreement did not involve policy, elections, or anything more complicated than opening the doors. It gave us 20,000 seats and a scoreboard large enough to show my face from several streets away. One invitation waited at the end. Maya entered under her own name. When the participant list appeared, every conversation about the qualifier changed. I had beaten celebrities, professionals, and a wealthy heiress. Maya had beaten me 3 times and had not lost any public game. The arena posters placed us on opposite sides. Claire hated the photograph they chose for her nearly as much as I hated my school photograph, even though she was not competing. "They made me look like your assistant," she said. "You are pointing toward me in the picture." I was pointing toward an exit. Noah tilted his phone to capture both of us. "Could you say it again with more anger?" Claire pointed toward the actual exit. The qualifier began with 64 players in a different game at every table. Winners advanced, losers left. Before each round, both players saw the game and accepted its rules. Victor's judges handled disputes. The system did not care about the tournament. It only lit one blue circle at a time. My first opponent was a regional speed chess champion. We received 3 minutes each. He arrived in a red blazer, sat before the clock, and moved his first pawn before the announcer finished saying his name. The overhead display showed our board to the entire arena. He used speed as pressure. Every hard tap on the clock told me I was already behind. I used 12 seconds on my first move. The crowd murmured. He used 2. I used 11 on my second. He smiled across the board. On the large screen, the time gap opened until he had nearly 2 minutes, and I had 40 seconds. Then my position closed around his king. He stopped smiling. His next move took 15 seconds. Mine took 1. He checked my king. I moved aside. He reached for the clock, saw the bishop waiting behind my pawn, and froze. His attack had opened the diagonal I needed. I moved the bishop. Checkmate. My clock showed 4 seconds. The favor I requested was simple. At the next table, introduce me as the player who made your extra time useless. He did. The next opponent was a retired basketball shooter in a gold warm-up jacket. 10 balls waited along the 3-point line. Most baskets won. He made 9. The arena expected another close finish. I made the first 8 without touching the rim. On the 9th shot, I paused with the ball above my head. The crowd leaned forward together. I turned toward the 10th rack and released the 9th behind me. The net snapped. Before the ball reached the floor, I picked up the 10th and sent it over my shoulder. Another snap. 10 out of 10. My defeated opponent had to introduce me to a retro racing champion at the next station. He did it while still staring at the replay screen. The racing cabinet looked ancient beside Logan's glowing equipment. The champion had spent 20 years mastering its stiff wheel and delayed pedals. He took the lead on the first corner. I followed his line once, understood the machine's rhythm, and passed him on the second. At the finish, I removed both hands from the wheel before my car crossed. The arena had learned what that meant. Everyone stood before the result appeared. Across the floor, Maya finished a memory card grid in 11 seconds. She did not watch her own scoreboard. She watched mine. We advanced through different halves of the bracket. My 4th game was the charity coin toss with the mayor. The arena had already raised more money than the original goal, and he treated the toss like a celebration. We agreed that heads would send me forward and tails would send him forward. He flipped. I called heads. The coin struck the center logo, spun along its edge, and refused to fall. 20,000 people watched it circle. Maya had beaten me with a coin. Clips of that loss filled the scoreboard while this one spun. The production team understood drama. The coin wobbled. It dropped on heads. Victory confirmed. The mayor laughed and shook my hand. For my favor, I asked him to keep the arena open through the final and let every remaining seat be filled at no cost if the charity target doubled. He turned toward the cameras. Open every section. The favor passed through the arena staff as an ordinary instruction he clearly wanted to fulfill. Doors opened. People waiting outside poured into the upper levels. Within an hour, the seats were full and the charity total had tripled. Maya found me in the tunnel between rounds. You asked for a larger audience. The recreation centers also did well. That wasn't your first thought. It was in the top 3. She held up the coin from our school gym. I had left it on the table, but she had apparently taken it back. Still bothered? By losing? By not knowing if it was luck? I looked at the coin resting on her fingers. You called the first 3 games. I accepted. That is not an answer. Then choose a larger stage. Maya closed her hand around the coin. I am. She returned to her side of the bracket. My semi-final opponent was a national trivia champion. 10 questions covered science, music, sports, film, history, and food. He won the first 3. I won the next 2. He took a question about classical music before I recognized the composer. At 6-3, the audience started counting every point I needed. I answered a chemistry question. 6-4, I identified a championship score. 6-5, the final questions came faster. We tied at 8. He took the 9th on geography. I took the 10th on film. The tiebreaker asked us to identify an object from a magnified photograph. The screen showed a field of tiny ridges and a curved blue edge. The champion guessed a bottle cap. I remembered Noah's camera batteries bulging through his blue hoodie on the first day. The positive end of a battery. The full image appeared. Victory confirmed. I asked the trivia champion to introduce the final match. He stood beneath the scoreboard, raised the microphone, and announced me as the player who had crossed 5 games without repeating a skill. Then Maya entered from the opposite tunnel. Her route had included darts, a word puzzle, table tennis, card memory, and a digital strategy game. She had not lost a round. She had not needed a tiebreaker. The large screen showed her 17-second mechanical puzzle, the coin toss against me, and every silent opponent she had left behind. The final table rose from the arena floor. Before either of us reached it, Victor appeared on every screen. The summit was created for winners, he said. Tonight has revealed 2. The audience quieted. There will be no final between Ethan and Maya. Boos descended from the upper levels. Noah shouted something from the production pit that the microphones wisely missed. Maya stopped at one end of the floor. I stopped at the other. Victor waited for the noise to settle. Instead, each finalist may earn an invitation. 5 champions are waiting at 5 stations. Chess, free throws, racing, memory, trivia. Defeat all 5 without a loss, and you enter my summit. The camera found the champions. The speed chess player I had defeated returned to the first station. The retired shooter stood at the second. Logan took the racing console himself. A memory champion waited behind 20 covered symbols. Nolan sat beside the trivia buzzer, rolling a red poker chip over his fingers. They had studied us. Victor continued. Maya will run first. Ethan will follow. The faster perfect run receives the first invitation. The second invitation exists only if the second player also completes every station. Maya looked across the arena at me. Large enough? I asked. For once, her smile was visible from the opposite end of the floor. Almost. The scoreboard turned green. Maya began. She crossed the chess station in 42 seconds. She made 5 free throws without a miss. She beat Logan by less than a second, cleared the memory board in 14 seconds, and answered Nolan's 3 trivia questions before he finished reading the last one. Her total time was 2 minutes and 58 seconds. The arena displayed the record in numbers 3 stories tall. Maya stepped away from the final buzzer without raising her hands. The applause seemed to strike the roof. Victor's screen marked her name beside the first summit invitation. I entered the first station. The chess clock started. The champion used a different opening and played for delay. He traded pieces, closed lanes, and forced the kind of position that consumed time. I could have attacked. Instead, I made one quiet pawn move and stood. He looked at the board. His king had nowhere useful to go. Any attempt to open the position lost his queen. He tapped the clock, moved a rook, and gave me the diagonal. My bishop ended it. 39 seconds. At the free throw station, the retired shooter placed 5 balls on the rack. I sent the first 4 through cleanly. Before the 5th, Logan started the racing game at the next station. The crowd shouted that the console was already running. I threw the final ball, turned, and jogged toward Logan before it reached the basket. The net snapped behind me. I picked up the controller while Logan's car was halfway through the first straightaway. You started early, I said. Victor said defeat the station. He didn't say I had to be polite. His old smile had returned. This time, it held respect. I accelerated. The car launched 3 seconds behind his. The arena screen split between the track and Maya's record. I copied none of Logan's route. The machine was different from Neon Dominion, but Logan was the same. He protected the fastest visible line. I took the ugly one. My car clipped a barrier, spun through a narrow service gap, and emerged ahead. Logan laughed as I crossed the finish. At the memory station, all 20 symbols flashed for 2 seconds. They disappeared. I touched them in pairs without stopping. Star and star, key and key. Bluebird and bluebird. The champion's hands remained folded because this was my board to solve. On the last pair, I turned toward the trivia station before touching either tile. Nolan waited at the buzzer. Both crowns, I said. The memory champion flipped the 2 crown tiles behind me. The arena erupted. I reached Nolan with 23 seconds left to beat Maya's time. 3 questions. Nolan read the first. Which planet has the shortest day? Jupiter. Second. In chess, how many squares are on the board? 64. 10 seconds remained. Nolan picked up the last card and paused. Victor's rules did not give him a time limit for reading. The audience began to count down anyway. 8, 7. Nolan looked at me over the card. 6. You told the world I never hesitated, I said. Don't make your endorsement look foolish. His red chip stopped between 2 fingers. He read, What is the only letter that does not appear in the name of any United States state? The crowd reached 3. I placed my hand above the buzzer but did not touch it. Q. The buzzer lit when my palm came down. The scoreboard stopped. 2 minutes and 59 seconds, 1 second behind Maya. For a moment, nobody understood why I was looking at her instead of the time. Then Victor's second invitation appeared beside my name. Maya had finished first. I had made sure the arena watched until the final second. 20,000 people rose together. Victor's image filled the central screen. His patient expression had finally changed. Both invitations are confirmed. I left my hand resting on the trivia buzzer while cameras flashed around the floor. The path to the Richest table was open, and across the arena, Maya touched the silver clip in her hair. Victor spoke to me before I left the arena. His face disappeared from the public screens and reappeared on a monitor inside a quiet interview room. The cheers still shook the walls outside. Claire stood near the door. Noah was filming his own reaction to the invitation for the 5th time. Maya had already left. Victor ignored both of them. You delayed your final answer. Nolan delayed his question. You could have answered before touching the buzzer. The audience needed time to count. Victor's measured expression returned, but now I understood the small crease beside his eyes. It appeared when he was entertained and did not want to reward the cause. Maya finished first, by 1 second. She has always finished first. I searched every recorded competition I could verify. School tournaments, private clubs, online matches, charity events, regional contests. She has never lost a game she knowingly accepted. Behind me, Noah stopped recording himself. Victor leaned closer to his camera. You are the first player she has followed. The screen went dark. 2 weeks later, the summit of winners began at the top of Victor's tallest building. The entire floor was glass. Glass walls showed the city in every direction. Glass panels floated over white tables, displaying the achievements of the guests. Founders, investors, athletes, entertainers, card champions, technology executives, and people rich enough to own buildings larger than our school moved through the room with the relaxed confidence of those who rarely heard no. No public cameras had been allowed in previous years. This year, Victor invited Logan's crew. The moment I entered in my black jacket, conversation shifted toward me. Some guests recognized the free throw. Some remembered the poker call. Almost all had seen the final second of the arena run. Claire entered beside me in an ivory suit and immediately stepped 3 feet away so no one could mistake her for my assistant. Noah wore his blue hoodie under a borrowed jacket again. He had been given a professional camera badge and kept checking it to make sure it was real. Maya waited beside the chess tables. She wore a simple black dress and the silver clip in her hair. Large enough? I asked. She looked around at the richest gathering in the building. For Victor. And for you? Win first. Victor's chess exhibition occupied the center of the floor. He would play 12 boards at once, walking from table to table while every opponent remained seated. Former national champions filled most chairs. The last board waited for me. Victor reached it after making his opening moves at the other 11. He wore the same navy suit I had seen on every screen. Silver hair, steady hands, no wasted movement. Up close, he did not look like a businessman playing chess. He looked like a chess player who had accidentally collected companies. "You reached the table," he said. "You accepted the challenge. 1 game. Standard rules. If you win, 1 reasonable favor. If I win, you will sit beside me through the rest of the exhibition and explain every move you regret." The blue circle appeared over the board. Accepted. Victor moved his king's pawn. I answered with the same opening Grace had taught during a rainy lunch period years earlier. Nothing rare, nothing designed for a billionaire. 2 pawns moved, 2 knights appeared, and the pieces settled into a shape found in beginner books. Victor left for the next board. While he walked the circle, commentators whispered through Logan's broadcast. They praised the clean position and explained that Victor's true pressure came from time. He spent only seconds at each table, yet every opponent had to sit with his last move and imagine what he had already seen. On his 3rd return, Victor gave me a chance to attack his queen. It looked careless. The commentators called it bait. I moved a knight instead. Victor's fingers paused above the queen, then shifted to a bishop. He had expected me to chase the valuable piece and open my king. My quiet move left his trap sitting useless in the center. He walked on. At the surrounding boards, players began to resign. Victor removed them one by one without changing pace. A grandmaster at board 4 lasted 23 moves. An online champion at board 9 lasted 25. My board reached 30. Victor traded queens and leaned over the remaining pieces. Without queens, the position looked calm. His rooks controlled open lanes. His bishop pinned my pawn. My king had 2 legal squares, neither useful. One commentator called the structure unbreakable. Victor returned after defeating the final player besides me. The 11 empty chairs formed a white circle around our board. Every summit guest moved closer. "You wanted the richest people alive to watch," he said. "I wanted them to accept games. First, they need to believe you can lose." He moved his rook deep into my position. The crowd reacted. The rook threatened my last defender and cut off my king. Victor folded his hands behind his back, already looking toward the cameras. I studied the same knight I had moved near the opening. It had spent most of the game near the edge of the board, ordinary and quiet. Grace's voice returned from the school library. "A knight does not need a straight road. It only needs the landing square." I lifted it. Victor's expression sharpened. The knight landed beside his king. Check. He looked for a capture. My pawn protected the knight. He looked for a flight square. My rook covered one, my bishop covered another, and his own pieces blocked the rest. The check was mate. I stood before he said it. Victor's hand remained above his king, fingers open, while the commentators stopped speaking. Around us, the richest room in the building became quieter than my school gym had been after the free throw. Victory confirmed. I turned away from the board. Behind me, Victor's hand finally closed around his king and laid it on its side. The glass walls filled with the city's evening lights. Logan's cameras caught Victor, the fallen king, and me walking toward the center stage without checking the result. Victor joined me a moment later. "Your favor? Give me this stage for 1 hour. Send an open invitation to every summit guest. Any mutually accepted game they choose. 1 favor to the winner." Victor looked at the crowd he had spent years selecting. The system settled the decision. He took the microphone. "For the next hour," he said, "this summit belongs to Ethan. Anyone willing to challenge him may choose the game." At first, no one moved. These people had watched Victor eliminate 11 champions and then lose to 1 basic knight move. Accepting meant becoming the next name under mine. Refusing meant spending the rest of the night wondering whether everyone had noticed. Claire stepped onto the stage. "Rock, paper, scissors?" she asked. The crowd laughed. "You already had your turn. I am demonstrating that survival is possible." She stepped aside. An executive in a gray suit raised a coin. "Best of 3 tosses. You call." Accepted. The blue circle lit. I called tails, then heads. Both landed as called. For my favor, I asked for an introduction to the head of his company's competitive gaming division. He made it on the spot. A celebrity chef challenged me to identify 3 spices by scent. I named cinnamon, cardamom, and smoked paprika. My favor was a guest appearance on the chef's largest broadcast. A technology founder set a small drone on the floor and offered a race through 3 glowing rings. He used a custom controller. I used the spare. His drone struck the second ring. Mine crossed all 3 and landed on the white stage without skidding. My favor was access to his arena for a future public challenge. Then they came faster. A professional card player offered 1 high card draw. I pulled a queen to his 10. An athlete offered 5 darts each. He scored 47. I put the final dart through the narrow triple ring and finished on 48. A media executive played a 10-second advertisement without sound and asked me to name the product. I recognized the reflection of a running shoe in a shop window. A billionaire who owned casinos challenged me to cut a deck closer to the ace of spades. He found the 7. I cut directly to the ace. Each accepted game lit the blue circle. Each victory opened one favor. I did not ask for their companies, fortunes, houses, or secrets. I asked for stages, introductions, broadcasts, equipment, invitations, and public acknowledgement. The favors built a road that did not depend on any single person. By the 20th minute, people began accepting just to become part of the story. The glass panels above the room displayed every result. By the 40th minute, the list reached 23 victories. Noah's camera battery died. He replaced it without lowering the camera. Claire stood beside the stage counting future opportunities faster than the panels could display them. Victor watched from the chessboard, his fallen king still lying on its side. At 59 minutes, the final challenger approached with 2 sealed cups. She was an investor famous for choosing successful companies from brief presentations. Under one cup sat a blue glass stone. Under the other sat nothing. She mixed them, and I chose the left cup. The blue stone waited beneath it. Victory confirmed. For my final favor of the hour, I asked her to tell the room whether she had allowed me to win. I did not, she said. The timer reached 0. 24 victories filled the glass panels. I had challenged the richest people alive, and every one of them had accepted because the person before them had lost in public. The room no longer treated me like Victor's teenage guest. People waited for me to look in their direction. Maya was the only one who had not played. She stood beside the fallen king and turned our school coin between her fingers. When the broadcast ended, she walked onto the empty stage. Noah, Claire, and Victor remained in the room. Logan's public stream had closed, but his fixed camera still recorded for the Summit archive. Maya placed the coin between us. "Your favors are not persuasion," she said. Claire stopped organizing invitations. I kept my eyes on Maya. "You waited a long time to say that." Ryan returned money he wanted to keep. Grace gave you a microphone while looking annoyed with herself. Logan changed an entire broadcast. Claire made an introduction she would have preferred to control. Claire looked ready to object, then apparently decided the last part was accurate. Maya continued. "Every time you win, the loser resists for a few seconds. Then the resistance disappears. They do not become happy. They become certain." Noah lowered his replacement battery. The system remained invisible between us. "What do you think happens?" I asked. "I think a victory gives you one request the loser cannot refuse, as long as some rule considers it acceptable." Her green eyes held mine. "I think you have been climbing toward people with larger favors." Victor said nothing. He had granted my hour. Whether he believed Maya did not matter yet. "Why follow me?" I asked. "Because I have never lost." She said it without pride. The words sounded like a complaint she had carried for years. Maya had learned chess before elementary school, cards from bored adults at family gatherings, video games from anyone who posted a record, and sports whenever a player told her one mind could not master everything. She did not possess a second system. She did not see probabilities hanging in the air. She practiced until games slowed down around her, then moved to the next one when nobody could keep up. "At school, you lost to me 3 times, she said. "Then you turned those losses into a larger audience. You never asked me to go easy. You never avoided the next game." She set the coin down. I wanted the stage large enough that neither of us could pretend the result did not matter. 7 stations lit across the Summit floor. Speed chess, darts, a rhythm game, trivia, free throws, a memory board. The last table held only our coin. Maya had arranged everything with Victor before the Summit began. "Best of 7, she said. "First to 4 wins. If I win, you tell me the exact rule and grant me one reasonable favor by choice. If you win, I will grant yours." The blue circle appeared brighter than I had ever seen it. Accepted. Maya touched the silver clip in her hair. We began with speed chess. She attacked immediately, trading time for pressure. I had seen her arena run. She had seen every chess game I had played, including the one against Victor. On move 15, she created the same queen bait Victor had used. I moved the knight. This time, the landing square did not create mate. It forced a queen trade and left my rook on an open lane. Maya searched for 6 seconds, found no escape, and resigned, 1-0. At darts, she placed 3 throws inside the narrow triple ring. My first matched hers. My second struck the wire and fell outside. She did not need the third. 1-1. The rhythm game filled a glass panel with falling lights. Maya played perfectly through the first song. I matched her. The second accelerated until Noah could no longer follow the notes with his eyes. Maya missed one. I missed none. 2-1. Trivia used questions neither of us had seen. Maya answered history, science, music, and art without pausing. I tied the score on sports and business. The final question asked for the only sea without a coastline. Maya buzzed first, the Sargasso Sea, 2-2. At the free throw line, we each received 5 balls. I made all 5. Maya made the first 4. Before her final shot, she looked at me instead of the basket. Then she released. The ball touched the front rim, rolled around the metal and fell out. 3-2. For the first time in any accepted set, Maya stood 1 game from defeat. She walked to the memory board without speaking. 30 symbols flashed for 1 second. They disappeared. We took turns calling pairs. I found sun and sun. She found crown and crown. I found 2 keys. She answered with 2 blue birds. The board emptied until 4 tiles remained. I called the lower corners. One showed a star. The other showed a moon. Maya called the 2 center tiles. Both showed stars. My mistake gave her the information she needed. She cleared the moons and won. 3-3. The entire set came down to the coin. Maya picked it up. At school I flipped it. This time I hide it. One hand or the other. You choose. No switching after I present my fists. Accepted. The system confirmed the final game inside the larger set. Maya turned away. Before placing both hands behind her back, she touched the silver clip. The movement pulled every earlier moment into place. She had touched it in the library after Grace's favor, in the rain before Logan, after my impossible game route, at Claire's gala, and across the arena. I had treated it as a nervous habit. Maya did not get nervous. She touched the clip when she wanted me to notice how calm she was. It was a signal with no meaning except the meaning I gave it, a reason to search for a complicated pattern, a small invitation to think about beating her instead of thinking about the game. She turned back and extended both fists. Her right sleeve sat slightly higher than the left. Obvious. Too obvious for the girl who had studied thousands of games. She expected me to distrust what I saw. At school, she had told me exactly how she won. You lose when you think about beating me instead of the game. I pointed to her right hand. Maya opened it. The coin lay against her palm. For the first time since the blue rule appeared above Ryan's shoulder, I watched a victory panel arrive slowly. Victory confirmed. 1 reasonable favor available. Maya stared at the coin. Her left hand opened empty. Noah forgot the camera completely. Claire lowered her stack of invitations. Victor stood beside the chessboard with one hand resting near his fallen king. Maya looked up. The clip? You wanted me to make it complicated. It worked before. You gave me more games. The blue light waited around her. I could have asked for her methods, her future victories, or her silence about the system. I could have used the one favor to remove the only rival who had made me lose in public. That would have wasted the largest stage she had chosen. Walk onto the summit stage, I said. Tell everyone, truthfully, who the only player to defeat you is. Maya held my gaze for a long moment. Then the favor settled. Victor reopened Logan's public stream. The summit guests returned from the lower lounges. Executives, celebrities, champions, and billionaires gathered beneath the glass panels showing my 24 victories. News of the private 7-game set had already moved through the building. The stage lights turned white. Maya walked to the center alone. She did not look defeated. She looked like the person every game had failed to surprise until now. The room quieted. I have accepted games against Ethan 4 different times, she said. At school I beat him in all 3. Tonight we played a best of 7 set. She paused. Ethan is the only player who has ever defeated me. The glass panels changed. My name appeared beside Victor's fallen king, the 24 Summit Challengers, and Maya's ended record. Noah raised the camera with both hands. Claire stopped pretending she was not impressed. Victor gave the same short nod he had given after the executive's trivia loss, but this time he did it from below my name. Maya left the stage and passed me without stopping. Your favor is complete, she said. You sound disappointed. I expected something more troublesome. She handed me a black envelope. Inside was an invitation to a World Games circuit. The list covered cities across 3 continents and included chess champions, esports winners, card professionals, athletes, puzzle designers, and people whose names even Victor's guests spoke carefully. On the back, Maya had written one sentence: "Rematch accepted." No system circle appeared because she was not offering the game yet. She was promising where the next stage would be. I looked through the glass wall at the city below. A month earlier, Ryan had taken $5 from me at a cafeteria table. Now the richest people alive were waiting for introductions. Victor's company had scheduled my chess replay for a global broadcast. Logan was negotiating the next Beat Ethan event, and Maya's first defeat had opened a circuit large enough to cross the world. I slid the invitation into my black jacket. Maya waited beside the elevator, silver clip bright under the summit lights. "Any game?" she asked. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. "Any game you are willing to lose?"